So the area that we live in is fairly new to Denver. It's a recent reclamation of urban renewal. We actually live near the runway of the old airport. And they took all the old airport out and have built in a whole planned community with paths and trails and intended to be a nice walkable place. And in our old house, we had been able to convert under our stairs into a little wine cellar. When we bought this place, we looked at the basement and we thought, boy, this could really work for expanding our collection and making more room. But the more we thought about it, the more we realized that if we put the wine cellar in that we wanted, we were going to take away from all of the rest of the possibilities in the basement. Over the entire footprint of the house, the main living floor is probably about 1,500 square feet. Of that, in the basement, you probably only have about maybe 900, maybe 800 or 900 square feet that's actual basement. My father-in-law actually had the recommendation. He said, well, look, you've got this great, big space here in your crawl space. I wonder what it would take to maybe just dig it out and use that instead. And when I actually did my little Google search and I came up with, well, I want to take my crawl space into a basement, so let's just search for that and see what happens. And I came up with Ted at Crawl Space to Basement was like one of the first results on the search. Called up Ted and he came over and had a look at things and just from the beginning had a real confidence that this guy knew what was going on. There was no pressure to actually do it, but I felt like if I moved forward with Ted, that he was going to make sure that everything was done correctly. We had the right engineers involved, we were going to have the right permits involved, he had a method, he could talk me through the process from beginning to end, give me a reasonable time frame, nothing too aggressive, but also nothing that's going to be, ages and ages slow. And he was able to actually really articulate how the whole process of what it would involve and how they would do the digging and how they would access my house and make sure that my family and I were safe and were not impacted by what they were doing, and all of that really made a big difference for us. And then when it also came out that his prices were really reasonable, that just sort of sealed the deal for us moving forward. So with the finished crawl space conversion that we did, we've ended up now with a lot more space in our basement, and we actually have space that we don't know what we're going to do with. But it was just better to have a full basement rather than leave part of it uncompleted. What we've gotten out of it, we're going to be able to expand the future bedroom that we're looking for downstairs by 6 feet longer than what we thought it might be, which will allow us to have a full great room that'll run the entire length of the house for playing and entertainment and maybe a pool table or something. I have 2 storage areas, one that's probably even big enough to be like a video game room, man cave kind of place. It's actually fairly substantial, almost 12 foot by 12 foot, that's new, space to work with. And the main part and the main reason that we did the entire conversion is so that I could have my wine cellar. So we're moving from a cellar that was underneath the stairs, with a slanting roof that you had to get down on your hands and knees to get into a beautiful 7 foot wide by 16 foot long, 1,700 bottle capacity wine cellar. And I'm so looking forward to being able to finish that out and see the finished product there. So my overall impression of Crawl Spaces is that, you have a very passionate guy in Ted who really believes in what he's doing and really wants to educate people around the options and the opportunities of working with spaces that most people try to ignore or forget about. Whether it's for a wine cellar or for a family room or for just more space for playing, they do a great job. And everybody that we worked with, was extremely professional, knew what they were doing, and were just really pleasant to work with.